I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Happy Saturday to you guys. Not sure where this blog is going to go. I don't have anything that I really wrote down here that I really want to talk about. I thought, let's just kind of meander a little bit around on this Saturday blog. It's Saturday. It's my blog. I can do what I want. So why not? I don't know if this thing's going to go 5 minutes or 15. Let's see where it goes. Just thought I'd kind of meander around a few things that are on my mind here with real estate investing. You guys know I went away for the holiday, so I was traveling. I thought I'd kind of share a few things with you from my travels. I know you guys like a lot of that stuff. These are the blogs that I enjoy doing the most. And I know a lot of you guys like my Saturday blog. Although I had a couple of guys here recently say, on a Saturday blog, Owen, stick to talking about real estate. Hey, listen, as my Tuesday blog is always about real estate. My Saturday blog, sometimes I'll talk about real estate, but a lot of times I like to talk a little bit about life, about the mental attitude and mindset you need for success, motivation, books that I'm reading. I know a lot of you guys will agree. This is, I think, some of the best information I give out, because anyone can talk about real estate. An ape can get up here and start talking about market stats and real estate prices and interest rates. I try and come at it from a little bit more from the front lines. A realtor like myself who sells 40, 50, 60 houses a year and has been in the business for as long as I have, not only in real estate but as an investor. That's one of the reasons why I wrote my book. It was kind of a pay it forward thing for me. I'm an old guy. I'm getting old, and I've seen a lot of stuff, and I've had a fair bit of success in my life. This has always been an outlet for me to pay it forward, and I know a lot of you guys appreciate it because I get these wonderful emails and comments saying that I've made a huge difference, and it makes me feel good. I love doing these blogs, especially the Saturday one. If I can kind of help people out, give them the practical advice, and that's really what this is. It's not theory. It's stuff that I've been using for 20, 30, 40 years now, and it works really well because I'm a simple guy. I just kept everything really straightforward. I was very fortunate. I had some incredible mentors in my life, starting with my father, who's been in real estate for decades and decades. He taught me a lot about the business. And then I seeked out other mentors that I had over the years, both in real estate and investing. So I was fortunate to have these people, and they all kind of told me the same thing. If you get some success, Owen, maybe try and pay it forward and share some of your experience, which is what I've tried to do. If you've read my book, my story was pretty straightforward. I started at a young age, bought my first condo when I was 18 years old. My dad was my realtor. Nothing fancy. I think at the time I paid $48,000 for the unit, still own it today. It's worth a lot more than that. And then I just tried to get better in my career, in my life. Every year I kind of looked at it as a goal of just trying to get a little better. It didn't mean I made more money. Maybe I just learned a little bit more that year, got better as a salesman, got better in the career of real estate. Just try to get a little bit better, and then set aside 15 to 20% of what I earned and put it into two vehicles: real estate and stocks, equities, maxing out your RRSP and later your TFSA, and then putting some money away into some non-registered accounts. Every 4 or 5 years, try and buy another investment property, put a tenant in it, and just rinse and repeat. It was nothing fancy at all if you read my book. Everything I talk about in my Saturday blogs here, you guys can replicate this to great success, because it's not a buy this, sell that formula. It's just a simple buy, hold, work hard. Try and work, as I've often said, both ends of the equation, I call it. You want to continue to try and move up the pay scale, get better in your career, start your own business, or have a business and a side hustle and work on that. Anything. But if you're in a career, you don't want to stay static. You want to keep moving up. That was my goal as a realtor. First year, I think in sales, I think I sold 3 homes in my first year. I was happy with that. Next year, it was 6 or 7. Year after that, it was 10 or 12. It's these gradual steps. And if you stay with your game plan and set a set amount you set aside, maybe 15% or 20, depending on your life situation. I know people that are able to tuck away 30 or 40%. Then that's going to really, and put it into avenues that will work for you. Earn passive income, which is what my book is all about. There's not enough working hours in the day to attain real wealth. You've got to take a little bit of that money and put it to work. As many people would say, I look at my every dollar I save as a soldier. And do you want your soldier sitting on the couch smoking marijuana and playing video games, or do you want your soldiers out there making money for you while you sleep? Really simple process. So share a few little random thoughts here. So you guys know, I've been at this a long time. I started at a young age, set aside a bunch of money and got it working for me. I wrote my book along for the ride. I told you that money has not been any type of concern for me for a long time now, since my early to mid 40s. That's when I hit my crossover point. The crossover point is kind of a magical time where the income you're earning passively from your investments, so that would be in the form of the quarterly dividends that my stocks pay me and the rent checks that my tenants pay me, it is more than enough to live on. In other words, I could quit my career as a realtor, which I don't want to do because I love the business I'm in, and I would have no problem just living off those passive income streams and comfortably, and not living on pork and beans and driving an old beater car and watching every penny. I could live comfortably, still drive a nice car, take vacations 3 or 4 times a year, live in a nice house, eat out all the time, all that stuff. So that's the crossover point. For me, it came in my mid 40s, and then since then it's just been gravy. Didn't see much in the early years, nothing much at all in the first 10 years. But it snowballs on you. It's that compounding the snowball that Warren Buffett calls it. It's in my book. You can read my book on how I did it. But in my travels, where I am now in life, as you guys know, and my clients that have worked with me and colleagues, people that know me personally, you guys know I have a pretty nice lifestyle. I've been blessed. Born a Canadian, great mom and dad who gave me all the support I needed, and a country like Canada that allows you to be, the sky is the limit. You can be as successful as you want. Whatever you want to put your mind to and work towards is yours for the taking. It really is. And I took advantage of it, started at a young age, and now, it's afforded me a really nice lifestyle, which you guys can attain to as well. Never have to worry about money. You work because you want to work, and that's why I do it. I still love the business of real estate, selling real estate, the art of the deal, as they call it, the negotiating, getting the best price, and for my sellers, surprising them in a lot of cases on the selling side with multiple offers and getting them prices they never thought they would attain. That is what keeps me going in this business, or working with a young client to get into his first condo or his first home and handing the keys over. That's what keeps me going in this business. It's never been about money. I've always held up that law of fiduciary duty. Your client, you always want to be working in your client's best interest. If you follow that in anywhere in life, you will have incredible success. That's what my father and what many of my mentors told me over the years. You learn the business, become the best at it. If you can move up and become very good as a salesman, like in my situation, the sky is the limit, which I'll talk to you guys about in a minute. But it allows me to travel a lot. COVID shut it down for a while, but as you guys know, I like to take a number of vacations every year, 4 or 5 small breaks, a couple of larger ones. So I'm traveling a lot. When I travel, most of the time now, I'm able to travel in business class, which is awfully nice. Sure beats coach. I traveled in coach most of my life up until about the last 5 or 6 years. Now I'm able to, fly business class, which is nice. If I'm not staying with family or friends in California, I'm usually staying in nice hotels and resorts. My wife won't allow me to stay at a Days Inn or a Howard Johnson anymore. Nothing wrong with those hotels. I stayed at lots of them, well into my 30s and 40s, and was happy with it. But, my wife doesn't like those type of hotels, and I don't need to stay in those any longer. So I'm staying at, 4 or 5 star resorts. One of the nice things things about those is, you're meeting a lot of interesting people. And this past trip this Christmas was no exception. I don't get a lot into my personal life here, but you could call me, I'm a bit of an observer. When I travel, I'm actually, people that know me, I'm a pretty animated guy. I'm a salesman first and foremost. I'm a realtor, which is, technically I'm a salesman. So you've got to be able to communicate with people. You've got to be up. You've got to be energetic, positive, which I've always been. But overall, I'm a little bit more of a reserved guy. I like to think a lot. I like to read. So I'm always an observer, and that's one of the things I enjoy most about traveling. You're at the pool, you're at a gym that you don't normally train at. You're crossing paths with all kinds of different people. When I'm in a lot of these luxury resorts, I just got back on this past trip. I was at the Phoenician in Scottsdale, which my wife and I have been going to for probably 7 or 8 years. It's a fantastic resort. I don't know if any of you guys have stayed there. It's really beautiful resort. It's on, 18 or 19 acres at the foot of the Camelback Mountain there. You could never replicate a resort like this today. It's been there for about 35 years. They just did a massive renovation to it about 4 years ago. Incredible resort. A place where we like to go to relax for a week. They've got an incredible gym facility there, full professional gym, 18-hole golf course, tennis, pickleball, bike riding, spa, you name it. So it's a great place to go if you've got the money. It's not cheap. A typical day for me would be working out at the gym in the morning, and then maybe I'd go for a massage later in the morning, and then go hang out at the pool till sunset. And you rub shoulders with some interesting characters. And this is one of the things I enjoy most about traveling. You rub shoulders with a lot of different people from all walks of life. In the gyms especially, if I'm training at a gold gym or something, all walks of life there. But when you're at one of these resorts, it tends to be a little bit more of a well-heeled clientele. When you're paying $1,000 or $1,200 a night for a room, let's face it, most people are going to have the means for that. They're going to be in the upper echelons of the income bracket. And the Phoenician is one of those places. You're at the gym, you're talking to people, you're at the pool, or you're in the sauna at the spa. And I've often told you guys that over the years, in my travels and meeting people and the mentors and the people I've met over the years, there's a lot of common traits to successful people, and it's never let me down. It's always the same. These common traits, these people, they always have. And I've shared them with you guys over the years, but I'll just kind of give you guys just a refresher on this stuff from my recent trip here to the Phoenician. I'm in the sauna with these guys and training at the gym and hanging out talking to a few of these guys at the pool. They all have a lot in common. A lot of them are self-employed. You'll notice a lot of them have their own businesses. I was talking to one guy he was from Maryland. He had an awning business that sold, those awnings that go over windows. Obviously, very successful guy. So a lot of them are business owners. Some of them are professionals like lawyers or doctors, but a lot of them own their own businesses. A lot of them are in sales. And, never sleep on the career as a professional salesman. I've got a friend that is a good client of mine here in Vancouver who's in the car business. And he tells me that his goal in the car business was to always have some salespeople break $1 million in commission. He's not there yet, but he tells me that it's getting close. He had a car salesman, works at the Richmond Auto Mall, make $800,000 last year. $800,000 as a car salesman. He says there's lots of guys at that Richmond Auto Mall making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year. These guys are kind of sleepers. In real estate, that's really common in real estate. Auto business, not as much, I don't think, because the price, the volume is much more, but the sale price, of course, is a fraction of what real estate is. Realtors, though, of course, lots of realtors making 4, 5, 600 million, $1.2 million, $1.5 million. So never sleep on real estate. A lot of the guys I come across, are professional salesmen. Some of them are in the financial business. Some are realtors I've met. Car sales, whatever, medical equipment, pharmaceutical reps. sales career in a lot of ways, if you can get good at it and really good at it. So you've got to apply yourself. You're not going to become a pharmaceutical rep. It's not that easy, and you're not going to be making 600 grand in the first year. But if you can work your way, get better as a salesman, the sky's the limit. But a lot of them are self-employed. The other thing I talk to you guys about, number of things that I notice from these guys, from all of them. This is a common thread with everyone, all the successful people I know. They're always positive, optimistic. It's what one of my friends calls their crisp. Crisp is meaning that when you talk to them, they're up. They're usually animated. They usually are inquisitive. A lot of these guys I talk to, they pepper more questions at me than I want to answer to them. I actually want to try and flip it. I want to know, hey, what do you do for work? Where are you from? I want to try and get a little bit more inside these guys, but it's tough with a lot of these guys. They pepper the questions at you. That's what successful people do. They're inquisitive. They want to know, how did this guy's staying at a nice resort. What does he do? What does he do for work? How does he think? But they're positive, optimistic people. And they're also self-motivated. I talk about optimizing your life. They're all in the gym looking to stay in shape. This is something that I didn't notice, only started noticing about 10 years ago. Back 10 years ago, I had some mentors and some people that you come across, very successful financially and in business, but did not take care of themselves physically. Diets weren't great. They smoked. They drank a lot. Didn't touch any type of gym. Didn't go near a gym. That shifted about 10 years ago. I don't come across very many really successful people anymore, no matter what their age is. Even some of these guys, I saw a guy at the Phoenician, I was talking to him, he must have been in his late 70s, working out, playing tennis, staying in good shape. Told me, keeps his eye on his diet. He approached me and wanted to know what I do for my training and for my diet and stuff, so we talked for a little bit. But that's one thing that you notice more and more with successful people. Any biographies that I read all the time, Howard Schultz to Bob Iger to Alex Gorski from J&J, these guys have all got fitness workout routines. They get enough sleep. They eat right. That book that I told you guys about earlier this year, that Richer, Wiser, Happier, I forgot to mention in there, most of those hedge fund guys, in the interviews, about 18 of them, pretty much all of them, have a workout routine. Doesn't have to be anything too serious, but they either jogged or played tennis or whatever, worked out, had a gym routine for a couple of days a week. They're not trying to be Olympic athletes, but they're at least staying in somewhat decent shape. You need that. This is what ties it all together for these people, myself included. Not much fun to have money, but you feel terrible, and you're not very energetic, and you look terrible, and what fun is that? There's that FIRE movement that I often talk about. These guys save an ungodly amount, 50% of what they earn, and that's fine. But you want to have some fun along the way, and a lot of those guys are doing it, they've got their nose to the grindstone. They work 6-7 days a week, and they get into their 60s or 50s and want to retire early, but they don't have their health with them anymore. And what fun is that? Just off track. Keep in mind, when you retire, a lot of people, they save a certain amount. I was reading this in the Wall Street Journal. Keep in mind, when you retire, it's probably if you retire in your 60s, early 60s, let's say, those are your prime years for retirement. You're probably going to want to spend a bit more money in the 60s and 70s age, traveling and seeing the world, because it's not a secret that when you get into your 80s and 90s, who cares if you've got $10 million? You're probably not going to spend much of it because you're just not all that mobile anymore. A lot of people have lost their health and everything else. But I diverge there. But I was in the spa getting massage. Then I always I try and use sauna 4 days a week here if I can. In Vancouver here too, at my club here in Vancouver, I work out and then 4 days a week I try and get a sauna. Lots of therapeutic benefits to sauna, and I find it helps, especially in the winter. So the sauna is a great place to kind of talk to people, both at my club here in Vancouver and then when you're on the road at one of these resorts. I find, that the topic goes three ways with these guys. What do you do to train? Because, hey, I've got a good physique, I'm in good shape. So it always goes to, hey, what are you eating and how are you training, this and that. So we talk about exercise and nutrition. Investing, it always goes to as well. The stock market, real estate, that type of thing, because all these guys own real estate and they all have stock portfolios, all of them. I haven't met one guy yet that's a renter and, if any success, who's a renter and doesn't have a fairly large stock portfolio. And then the third thing it goes to is sports. NFL, or who do you like in the playoffs coming up? Those are the three areas that the things always go to. I'll try and take it to some different directions. I always want to know what these guys do for a living. Again, self-employed, they're professionals, a lot of salesmen that have, moved up the ranks. But they all own a lot of stock. I would say it's 50-50. Half of them manage their own money. The other half have money managers. Some of these guys I think have probably got very large portfolios, so maybe not a bad idea with some of these guys to have a professional do it, depending on what kind of professional that is and what they're charging. But a lot of the guys I talk to manage their own money. So they're just, these are common traits that everyone follows. You guys should follow this stuff too, because this is stuff that I've told you about, what I do as well. Optimizing your life, getting really, if you're a young person right now, or any age, middle age, try and work up that pay scale. And it's unlimited here in Canada and in the United States. People will tell you, oh, it's tough being a young person now. And I always often get that comment about, oh, and you had it so easy when you were growing up. That's the other thing. Well, if it does go to that, many of these guys will say, like I've been telling you guys, the opportunities now are unheard of now. We are living in a golden age here if you want to get ahead in life, whether that's financially or physically or whatever. We've got so much available now that I never would have dreamed about 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. Never. Just, from a staying in shape perspective, dieting and exercise and equipment, it's night and day from what I started. I started working out in a gym when I was 16 years old. I joined my first gym. If you saw that gym today, it would never be in business. It was a dungeon. It was dirty, smelled musty. The equipment was old and rusted. The nutrition back then, we had no nutrition back then. You couldn't buy supplements or low-fat foods or high-protein meals. It was tough. You had to do all your own cooking. Today, it's a breeze to stay in shape. The cost of gym memberships is nothing. We've got everything. As an investor, I've often said, my first years as an investor, 25 years ago buying stock, I got ripped off. Luckily, I only had to get ripped off for a few years. Eventually, what came along was the internet and online brokerage accounts, discount brokerage accounts, and then from there came low-cost ETFs by companies like Vanguard and iShares. I never had any of that. I had to buy overpriced mutual funds by bankers who didn't have a clue about anything with the stock market. They were just sold it off a script. And if I wanted to buy individual stocks, I told you guys I got completely ripped off on that. There was no such thing as real stock quotes. You had to go down and get a Globe and Mail and then call the order in, and they charge you $150 for the trade. And if I was only buying 5 shares, I was paying 10% buying commission. It's totally shifted now. So a lot of these guys will say, God, if I was 18, 19 years old today, I would be so far further ahead than I am now. And I agree. With the internet and the ways you could make money online and leveraging the technology. I know people are going to disagree with me, but it's the truth. And a lot of these guys I talk with, we all agree. Sure, there's a lot of things that are a lot tougher. Prices have gotten a lot more higher in real estate, but you can make up for it in a lot of other ways. So those are just random thoughts here. I think I've gone on long enough here. You guys know, positive attitude, it will take you a long way in life. And it doesn't mean you're not complaining. I do a little bit of complaining here and there too. You ask my wife. But I always, mentally, it's like a water off a duck's back. I don't dwell on it. I might complain about the traffic or trying to find a parking spot, but it's in and out of my consciousness in a minute or two, and then I move on. And I never let negative things in the world, interest rates, or the economy, or unemployment, or whatever it is, influence my personal financial situation, my investing philosophies, my real estate portfolio, my stock portfolio. It doesn't mean I'm not aware of those things, but it doesn't affect my planning on keeping to put money aside, investing in low-cost ETFs, holding my real estate, making sure I've got good tenants in there. None of that outside stuff influences me one bit, and it shouldn't be for you guys either. That's how successful people think. It's up to them. They keep a plan and they work, and there's going to be setbacks along the way. But don't be influenced by these exterior factors that will have no impact on you. They're all transient. They come and go, as I've said. 20 years ago, it was a whole different set of problems. 5 years ago, it was a whole different set of problems. 5 years from now, it'll be a whole different set of problems. Winners just keep working through all that stuff. Keep a positive attitude. Final thing I'll just leave you with, again, stay away from a lot of the mainstream media. Stay away from a lot of these losers on Twitter. Some of the stuff I see on Twitter, good God, there's still a couple of website guys on Twitter, Vancouver, real estate guys that will tweet out the most bizarre stuff. Hey, here's a guy who sold a house and lost $100,000 on it, or $200,000. Well, you don't know the circumstances on why they sold. You're not privy, actually, just because that sold price was X. You don't know what was in that deal. For all you know, they could have thrown in $500,000 of furniture. But even so, why would you waste your time spending hours and hours over the last 5, 6, 7 years on real estate crashing? Winners don't think that way. Winners know that markets go up and down, but they're going to focus on themselves, on what they have control over. And I think the days of the internet, we talk a lot about this with the guys I rub shoulders with, how young kids now, the one area they have it tougher in is they're bombarded with all this negative bullshit. People that don't know what they're talking about, they're angry, they're envious, and they throw out this stuff, and it gets people into this fear cocoon. That probably is the biggest hindrance for most young people. If you're going to watch social media or TV, I would limit it, and really be careful what you're taking in, because a lot of it is garbage, and it's just going to prevent you or slow you down on your road to success. As you guys know, I don't pay attention to any of it. I learned a long time ago that these guys on TV talking about stocks and the economy are just entertainers. They have no clue what they're talking about. They're guessing at it all. Warren Buffett has said that for many years, decades he's been saying to tune it out. He's right. Focus on your game plan. I'm very happy with buying 100 shares of Johnson & Johnson today, which I actually bought some more a couple days ago. I could care less if it goes down 5 or 10% in a week or two. I'm not buying it and selling it in five or 6 weeks. I'm buying it, holding it for 10, 15 years, like I have, which I've owned Johnson & Johnson for probably over 15, 16 years already. It's been very good to me. And I'll just keep collecting those dividends and keep reinvesting. Happy Saturday. I went on long enough, meandering a little bit here. Stay focused, stay positive. Good things happen. See you guys next week.